Today, I'm going to share with you the research results that in the last almost decade now, we have collected through a series of randomized controlled trials, field experiments around the world about the feasibility and viability and applicability of the scientific method to entrepreneurial decision making. And going back to the idea that, in business, all decisions are made based on individual prior subjective prior beliefs and not on precise knowledge of actual true reality. Starting from these assumptions, we came up obviously with the standard typology that classifies decision errors into three types. Type 1 decision error are false positives, the mistaken rejection of a null hypothesis that is actually true. And these are basically decisions that are based on empirical data that indicate the presence of a given condition when it actually is not. And in an entrepreneurial world, this and a good example of this might be, oh, we have this fantastic application and we add a product feature because we think it will generate a 20% increase in adoption, while its addition in reality doesn't make any difference. And typically the idea here is that decision mistakes of this type might derive from ill-designed experiments, or let's say, or data that are inappropriate. And good examples of this are, for instance, Better Place, this startup that wanted to create an ecosystem for electrified mobility, but also in industry, more standard industry, the launch of new products. And a famous case, and confident you all remember, is the case of Crystal Pepsi, the idea of a transparent cola. Okay, these are all cases in which it was launched, or there was a commitment or investment to a business idea, project, etc., based on data that led to a decision that in reality proved to be wrong. So here is the challenge we started to face in 2016. Is it possible? Okay, controlling for, of course, personal characteristics, experience, background, etc. Is it possible to improve entrepreneurial the decision making? And our intuition was that since the scientific method has been in the last 7 or 8 centuries the most powerful rational heuristic available to humans to improve their lives, they probably could also improve entrepreneurial decision making. So our contention here, and of course at that point in time there was other things ongoing in the entrepreneurial world, including things like design thinking, lean startup method, and other things, etc. But we think that all these practitioners-based methods, and also part of the literature in entrepreneurship, were somewhat converging around the idea that you can do better in terms of entrepreneurial decisions to the extent to which you kind of mimic, Galileo Galilei's approach. You observe, you abstract, you develop a theory of the problem, you formalize this into hypotheses that basically boil down to, causal relationship among variables, and then you test and you experiment on that, you analyze and evaluate the data, and eventually you make decisions. And there's obviously a learning loop here that is basically the learning loop that we call Bayesian learning, where you form beliefs, prior beliefs about something, and then you test them, and then you update them. And what are the key points of the scientific approach here? Well, basically that the scientific approach provides you with better priors, or more solid priors, grounded on knowledge and causal reasoning and logics, that you can run better experiments, more efficient experiments, to the extent to which you then translate the counterfactual reasoning coming from theories into tests that allow to de-bias and de-noise, and therefore